Is anybody mad? The ruler. Ruler. Slick Rick the ruler. The rich ruler. Slicky Rick. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Don't get pressure on. Oh my God. So now we're here for album versus album. And this album versus album is a special one for me. Because this is about Slick Rick. Slick Rick is probably, stylistically, one of the greatest MCs for swagger, period. You cannot mention swagger and don't mention Slick Rick. It just don't blend. The man personifies swag. For anybody who guessed or wondered or asked about and said, man, I wonder who got that swag like that. And who's really holding it down? Oh, Slicky Ricky had it on lock. Now that we look at it in its totality, let's see how it measures up on the chart compared to everything else, like all the other hip hop albums, because this one is Slick Rick versus himself, because that's the only thing that's really comparable that you could see. The Adventures of Slick Rick, his first solo album, his first solo, LP. It was by far an immaculate piece of work. And when I say immaculate, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, when it came out, it had so many different varieties. People was aware of Slick Rick from him with Dougie Fresh, but this was him basically on his own. And just him using all his old styles. Now, Treat Her Like a Prostitute was already out. That was like basically the first single to ever drop, even though it wasn't really out. It was on the Tougher Than Leather soundtrack at the time, because when they had the soundtrack going, they had like, I think, what was it? How many songs they had? It was a ton of them, but he was in the movie Tougher Than Leather with Run DMC back then, doing the same song. Then you had the Rulers back on the same song. Then Children's Story, and The Adventures of Slick Rick was something else. The Indian Girl Story. I hated Teenage Love. A teenage love. Don't hurt me again. Don't. A teenage love. I hated that song. And what was strange is that people said Teenage Love was out first, but the video didn't come till later. I didn't see the video till later. Children's Story came out and got everybody's attention, and Hey Young World, that was the winner. And Teacher. But to me, the last song was just wicked, with all the scratching, was Lick the Balls. That was the hit. And it's the moment of it. I mean, some people call it one of the greatest albums of all time. Me, it's up there. I like the album, but it's not quite, I would say, the best. Now, his next follow-up came out 3 years later. No, it came out the very next year. I'm sorry about that. Did it come out the next year? Because I could have sworn. No, it was released in 91 because Living Large, the movie came out and they had that mix, that party, and this was in a whole different mind state because Rick had to go do some time. So when this was released, Slick Rick was gone to do his, he got sentenced to 5-year term and he had to go do a bit. So Vance basically handled the majority of the production for this album. Slick Rick and Vance. Vance Wright. That's like his homeboy. He's the one they talk about on it. So what do you think, Vance? Please, no one can solve us. Wish me luck, yeah, I'm scared and I'm nervous. But anyway, that's another thing. This album is so underrated. So underrated. The Ruler's Back, the album, the second album, they actually used the old stock photo of Rick. And once this came out, it was charting success. His first single came out was I Shouldn't Have Done It. And people thought it was based off, he was talking about the situation when he was going through in his case, which almost hurt him. They was like, oh man, it's because the news came out around the same time about him, in the altercation with a cousin and the shooting. And then next thing you know, the song comes out, I shouldn't have done it. I'm feeling sad and blue. I'm feeling sad and blue. Sad and blue. So people assume, like, oh my God, he shouldn't have done it. But in my opinion, this album is better than the Adventures album. You people argue me up and down that I am an idiot. The Adventures of Slick Rick, I said it just did not get the press. It did not get what it should have deserved. I mean, Bond, the first king. Should I begin to kick him on the king chin? Because I'm the king. Slick Rick came out with King. Because all the beats now had changed. Everything was more fast-paced party. Kid and play type beats. But Slick Rick was going after their throat with this one. Bond. You better believe that nigga keep girls falling. That man is Bond, yo. Oh, man. Moses. Come on. Tonto. Mistakes of woman in love with other men. Come on. This album here, it's a boy. Top Cat. And then Runaway. You kidding? I think I gotta run away. Gonna end up the next day. When I really wanna be with him. But hallelujah's at the grass gate. I know you wanna run away. I'm ready to start the next day. Cause I know you wanna be with him. I can't believe that this is happening. Man, give it up. This is sick. No, you wanna run away. Rick was good. His ad-libs, everything he did was flawless. Definitely, to me, this album, I played this way more than I played The Adventures of Slick Rick. The Ruler's Back album, definitely was severe. It was slept on. A lot of people slept on it because it was in the party phase and everybody would play it, dance, and they couldn't dance to it. It wasn't a song for them, and everybody liked that. Slick Rick. They just threw that on a 6-minute party house mix of Slick Rick music. And they let that run forever. People would dance till they get sick. So it was popular. It made them a lot of money at the time. Faced with the situation they was faced with. And that was it. But in my opinion, the Ruler back, the album wins. Y'all tell me y'all pick. Don't forget to follow the playlist, album versus albums, and I'm out.